I used to tell this part of my story as a survival story. You know, the girl that loses everything, gets up anyway, builds a life out of nothing, that kind of thing. Triumph over circumstance. That's the version I told at dinner parties anyway. That's the version that made people nod. And that's the version that got me the look. You know the one. The slight tilt of the head, the soft, wow, you're so strong. I used to like that look. It's not wrong, exactly. But it's not the part that matters. Because the part that actually changed how I understand myself, the part I think might change something for you too, isn't what I survived. It's what I used to believe survival meant. I used to believe that because I didn't fall apart, I hadn't really been hurt. That's because I kept moving. I hadn't really felt it. That the calm, functional, get up and go to work version of me, the one who didn't cry at the right times, who didn't grieve in any way you'd recognize from a movie, was somehow doing it wrong. Not broken, just suspicious, like I owed someone a bigger reaction than I had. Like there was a script for grief and loss and starting over that I never got handed, and everyone else seemed to be reading from it. And I just kept forgetting my lines, or worse, kept not needing them. I used to lie awake some nights actually worried about it, wondering if there was something cold in me, something missing. Some capacity for feeling that other people had and I didn't. Because if I had it, surely it would have shown up by now. Surely 16-year-old me would have collapsed somewhere, cried at the wrong moment in the grocery store, failed a class, done something, anything that looked like what I thought devastation was supposed to look like. Instead, I just got up every day and eventually went to work and came home and did it again. And for years, real years, not a season, not a phase, I read that as evidence against myself. I carried that quietly, the way you carry things you're a little ashamed of. Not the loss itself, the way I responded to it. Or didn't, as far as I could tell. And I think a lot of you are carrying some version of it too. Not about my story, about your own. A breakup you didn't cry over the way you thought you should. A diagnosis you took in stride when everyone expected you to fall apart. A season where you didn't feel much of anything, and some part of you decided that meant something was wrong with you. That you were cold, or in denial, or somehow failing in the moment. I don't think that anymore. And this episode is about why.
What if the part of you that went numb wasn't giving up? What if she was protecting you from feeling more than you could hold all at once? The quiet, the distance, the strange calm after something should have broken you. Maybe that wasn't a lack of feeling. Maybe that was your system keeping you upright. There's a guide in reflection, designed by Self-OS. It's called Pause Before You React. 6 questions. One clear response. A way to meet what's happening inside you without judging. How it had to survive. The link is in the show notes. Now, back to her OS.
I was 16, and I want to be honest about what that looked like, because it wasn't rising, and it wasn't a moment where I found something inside myself and used it to climb. It was just getting up. Just that, getting up. Moving when staying still wasn't available. Putting one foot forward, not because I was brave, and not because I had a plan, but because the road behind me had already ended. I wasn't alone, though. I had my mom, and she loved me, and she was doing everything she could. By then, my parents had already been separated for a while, so she wasn't really grieving him the way that a wife grieves a husband. She'd already done the harder, slower work of rebuilding herself apart from him, figuring out who she was outside of everything he told her she was long before he died. So his death didn't throw her back into that grief. It complicated it. It sat on top of a life she'd already started remaking. And there we were, both still finding our footing. Hers from separation and mine from a loss I didn't even fully understand yet. Both moving forward on ground that had already been shaky for years. And I loved her too much to add my weight to hers, so eventually I got a job, found an apartment, and moved. Not triumphantly, not with clarity, just forward. That's a 16-year-old's love. Deciding quietly, without announcement, that you will not be one more thing someone else has to carry. I didn't have the words for it then, but I feel it now. Is there someone in your life you've been quietly protecting like that? Someone you've never told because it was never about being thanked? It was just about making sure they had one less thing to carry. You don't have to reach out to them today. Just notice what it cost you to love them that way. Because it counted, even if they never knew about it.
Understanding your pattern in your mind is only half the battle. Real change requires changing your environment. If you're ready to bring intentional regulation into your daily life, the official store is live. Go to installselfos.com/store. There, you will find real-world tools and resources engineered to ground your nervous system and disrupt the autopilot. Somatic anchors like premium weighted blankets and physical Pomodoro timers, alongside books and guides available in both print and digital formats depending on how you choose to study. Everything you need to transition from theoretical awareness to daily, deliberate practice. Bring the code into the physical world. Go to installselfos.com/store. Explore the ecosystem and take full ownership of your operating system today. Installselfos.com/store.
This is the part I most want you to hear. I want to talk to you about the numbness, because I carried quiet shame about it for a long time. The idea that a stronger person, a healthier person, someone who hadn't spent years learning to perform fine, would have grieved properly, would have felt things in the right order, would have looked from the outside like she was actually going through something. I looked fine. I moved forward, and for years I read that as evidence against myself. Here's what I understand now, though, and I want to say it plainly because I think it's the single most useful thing I can hand you today. The numbness wasn't absence. It was protection. Your body and your mind working together the way that they do when what's in front of you is more than you can fully hold, are capable of making a decision on your behalf. They say, there's too much here to feel all at once. So we're going to set it aside, not throw it away, just set it aside and help you do what needs to be done. We'll come back for the rest when you're ready. That's what numbness is, not weakness, not proof something is broken in you, not evidence you didn't love someone enough or grieve someone enough or feel a thing deeply enough. It's your own system taking care of you the best way it knows how, with what it has to work with in the moment. And I need you to hear that. If there's a season in your life you've judged yourself for, where you look back and think, why wasn't I more devastated? Why didn't I cry more? Why did I just keep going like nothing happened? That season was not a failure of feeling. It was feeling rerouted, postponed, protected. And everything you set aside back then is still there, waiting, certain that eventually there'd be space for it. This is the new lens I want to hand you. Numbness is not the opposite of strength. It's one of its forms. It just doesn't look like the version we were taught to recognize. So next time you catch yourself thinking, I should have felt more back then, I want you to try this instead. She felt exactly as much as she could survive feeling, and not a drop less. That's not a small reframe. Sit with it.
The loop doesn't stop just because you want it to. The same reaction, the same thought, the same automated response, running over the same neural track. You aren't broken. You're just running old code. Break the pattern. How to interrupt automatic thought and reaction. A practical framework written by Tom Lawhorn Jr. It's not about willpower. It's about awareness. Understanding the behavioral loop before the grip tightens. Available now on Amazon. The manual for your system is finally here. Break the pattern.
I want to tell you what the apartment meant, not practically what it meant. It was the first thing that was entirely mine, not contingent on someone else's mood or willingness to stay, not dependent on a man who had already made clear what he thought of my existence. Mine, because I had worked for it. I don't think I really understood in the moment what I was actually doing, and I don't think I looked around those four walls and thought, I'm proving something. I think she just felt something quiet, something without a name yet. I can name it now. I felt capable. For the first time, maybe the first time ever, outside of anyone else's assessment of me, outside of anything that could be taken away when someone changed their mind, that feeling, small and unnamed as it was the first true thing that I had ever felt entirely by myself, well numb. Not after healing, not once I felt ready. Well, I was completely numb. That matters because it means capability doesn't wait for you to feel whole. What's the smallest thing you've ever built entirely on your own? Something nobody handed you. Nobody co-signed, nobody could take it back. It doesn't have to be an apartment. It could be a routine, a boundary, a single sentence you finally said out loud in a season you weren't sure you were even present for. Sit with that for a second. That's not a small thing either. That's evidence. Now let's look for it.
S.
I want to speak to the woman who is in her own version of just moving, getting through the day without feeling much, doing what needs to be done and not asking herself too many questions, because the questions lead somewhere she doesn't have the capacity to go right now. Maybe you've been telling yourself a version of what I used to tell myself, that you should be more affected, that other people would have cried more or fallen apart more visibly or handled it worse. And somehow, handling it worse would have proven you cared more, that the calm is a kind of confession, evidence that you didn't feel enough to break. I want to take that story away from you if I can. And here's what I want you to leave with. More than anything else in this episode, stop auditing your own numbness. Stop treating it as proof of something missing in you. It is not missing. It's working exactly as it was built to work, keeping you upright until you have the ground to feel on. You don't owe anyone a bigger reaction than the one you already had. And you don't owe the version of grief you saw in a movie, or the version your friend had, or the version that would have made other people more comfortable watching you go through it. Your nervous system isn't performing for an audience. It's keeping you alive. Those are different jobs, and only one of them was ever yours to worry about. And to the woman who has someone beside her who is also just moving, a mother, a sister, a friend, someone who loves her and is also figuring it out. There's something we don't say enough about that kind of company. It counts. It isn't nothing just because it isn't a safety net. Two people who can't fully hold each other, holding on anyways, is still a form of being held. The feelings will come back. Not all at once and not in a convenient order, but they will come. And when they do, that isn't falling apart. That's thawing. You build something real even when you couldn't feel anything. Especially then.
Installing her OS.
When the nights get heavy, remember this. There was a girl with next to nothing behind her and no map for what came next. And guess what? She figured it out anyway. Not because she was fearless and not because she was healed, but because forward was the only direction left. And what carried her wasn't the absence of feeling. It was feeling doing exactly what it needed to do to keep her alive. That girl is still in you. The one who moves even when she can't feel it. The one who builds even when she can't see it. She was never broken. She was protecting something worth protecting. Honor her. She earned it.
This was a production of Self-OS. Awareness is power.